My partner's ex demanded you need to step aside so we can get back together. I looked him in the eye and replied, all right. Then I stepped aside and my partner did something so epic that his plan collapsed into tears. Original post: I 30 male got ambushed at a coffee shop yesterday. My girlfriend Nina's 28, ex Garrett 31. We've been together for a year. Apparently that was 1 year too long for Garrett's taste. I was waiting for Nina to join me for lunch when he slid into the seat across from me. Never met him before but recognized him from photos. You're Dean, right? Nina's current situation. I'm Dean. You're Garrett. Smiling like we're old friends. Good. Look, I'll cut to the chase. Nina and I have history. Real history. 7 years together. You've had your fun, but it's time to step aside. Excuse me. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Nina's just using you to make me jealous. It worked. I'm ready to take her back now. Me. Take her back. I know this is awkward, but you seem like a decent guy. You don't want to be someone's rebound, right? That's all you are. A placeholder while she waits for me to come to my senses. The entitlement was radiating off him like cologne. And you've come to your senses? Broke up with Becca last week. Nina's been waiting for this. She texts me all the time. Sends signals. You probably don't even know. What kind of signals? Leaning in conspiratorially. Like posting songs we used to listen to. Wearing the dress I bought her. She had lunch at our old spot last week. Come on, man. Read the room. So you want me to step aside? Exactly. No hard feelings. I'll even Venmo you for this coffee. Just tell Nina you're done and let nature take its course. That's when I saw Nina approaching through the window. She'd see us in about 30 seconds. All right. Surprised. Really? Just like that? You make a compelling case. I'll step aside. Nina walked in, saw us and froze. Her face went through about 5 different emotions. I stood up, looked Garrett in the eye and literally stepped aside. One big step to the left. Nina, Garrett here has something to tell you. I'm stepping aside like he asked. Looking between us. What's going on? Standing up confident. Baby, I made a mistake. I'm ready now. Broke up with Becca. We can be together again. Nina stared at him. Then at me. Then back at him. Are you serious right now? Dead serious. Dean understands. He's stepping aside. Tell him about us. About our connection. Nina, don't play coy. The songs you post. Wearing my dress. Going to Rosario's last week. Very quietly. The yellow dress. Yes, see. You remember. The dress I donated to Goodwill 3 years ago but kept appearing in my closet. That dress. Garrett's smile faltered. The songs on my Spotify that kept getting added to my playlist. Our restaurant that suddenly had reservations in my name I didn't make. I what? Nina pulled out her phone. Opened an app. Dean, remember when I installed those cameras in my apartment because someone kept moving things? I remember. She turned the phone to Garrett. His face on the screen. In her apartment. Going through her closet. Nina, 6 months of footage, Garrett. You copying my keys. Logging into my Spotify. Booking reservations to make me remember us. Moving my things. Gaslighting me into thinking I was going crazy. The coffee shop was dead silent. I filed a police report last month. Got a restraining order. It goes into effect Monday. But sure, tell me more about our connection. Nina, I can explain. Explain to the judge. My lawyer has everything. The footage. The credit card fraud when you used my saved info for those reservations. The harassment when you made fake dating profiles of me. You can't prove. Ring camera. Bedroom camera. Kitchen camera. All legal. All showing you in my space without permission. 73 separate incidents. She turned to me. Sorry I'm late, babe. Had to pick up the formal restraining order papers from my lawyer. Pulled out a manila envelope. Handed it to Garrett. Nina, you've been served. Come near me again, you get arrested. And yes, I know about you telling my coworkers we were getting back together. HR has been notified. So has your employer. Garrett opened the envelope with shaking hands. Oh, and Becca. She knows everything. We had coffee yesterday. Turns out you've been stepping out on her for months to stalk me. She's filing her own restraining order. The coffee shop manager approached. Manager, is there a problem here? This man is violating a restraining order. I have the papers right here. Sir, you need to leave. Garrett looked at me desperately. You set me up. I literally just stepped aside like you asked. Update 1. That coffee shop confrontation was just the beginning. Garrett's entitlement went into overdrive. First he tried to spin it. Posted on social media about how he was trying to save Nina from a toxic relationship and how I'd manipulated the situation. The problem? Nina had receipts. So many receipts. Posted a response with security footage timestamps. Garrett in her apartment at 3 a.m. Garrett going through her underwear drawer. Garrett installing something on her laptop. Garrett taking photos of her mail. The comments were brutal. But Garrett doubled down. Started messaging Nina's friends claiming she was having a mental health crisis and he was just checking on her welfare. Said the cameras were fake. The footage was edited. Nina's friend Keisha called me. This dude just offered me $500 to convince Nina he's the victim. Is he for real? That's when we discovered the depth of his delusion. He'd created an entire narrative where Nina was sending him secret signals to come back. Had a notebook documenting every sign. She wore blue on Tuesday. Our color. Posted at 11:11. Our time. Bought strawberry yogurt. She knows I love strawberry. Dude had convinced himself they were in some secret relationship only he knew about. But the real escalation came when he showed up at Nina's workplace. Restraining order be damned. Nina's boss called me. Your girlfriend's ex is in the lobby with flowers and a mariachi band. Says he won't leave until she sees his grand gesture. A mariachi band. At a law firm. Security removed him, but he'd live streamed it. Fighting for true love, he captioned it. Made himself look like the romantic hero being kept from his soulmate. Nina had enough. Time for the nuclear option. See, during their 7 years together, Garrett had been very creative with his taxes. And Nina, being a paralegal, had helped him with his creative accounting. She'd kept copies. Just in case. Update 2. Nina didn't go to the IRS immediately. First she sent Garrett one message through her lawyer. Cease all contact and harassment immediately, or documentation of tax years 2018 to 2023 will be forwarded to appropriate authorities. Garrett's response. He sued her for emotional blackmail and defamation. Actually tried to get a judge to order her to destroy the evidence because it was obtained during a romantic relationship. Judge's response. Mr. Garrett, evidence of criminal activity isn't protected by any romantic privilege. Motion denied. That's when Garrett made his biggest mistake. He hired a hacker. Not a good one, apparently. The guy got caught immediately trying to access Nina's cloud storage. Cybercrimes unit traced it back to Garrett in about 4 hours. But here's the beautiful part. Nina had anticipated this. She'd worked with IT security to set up a honeypot. Fake files labeled tax evidence that were actually tracking software. The moment they were accessed, it logged everything. IP addresses, device info, even took photos through the hacker's webcam. Garrett's face clear as day sitting next to the hacker. Federal charges. Conspiracy to commit cyber fraud. Attempted destruction of evidence. Witness tampering. But Garrett still wasn't done. He tried one last play the sympathy card. Made a video about his mental health struggles and how losing Nina broke him. Said he was checking into therapy. Started a podcast about healing from heartbreak. The podcast was wild. Episode titles like When Your Soulmate Chooses Wrong. Fighting for Love in a Cold World. Why Nice Guys Finish Last. He actually started getting followers. Guys who'd been wronged by women. The comments section was a cesspool of entitled dudes sharing their "she led me on" stories. Then Nina dropped the bomb. Remember that hacker? He flipped. Provided evidence that Garrett had been doing this to multiple women. Nina wasn't his only soulmate. He had 4 others he was stalking. Each woman thought she was the only one. Each had restraining orders. Each had stories of break-ins, gaslighting, harassment. Nina organized them. They did a joint interview on a true crime podcast. 5 women comparing notes, realizing they'd all been getting the same grand gestures on rotation. The podcast episode was called The Soulmate Scammer. It went viral. Update 3: Garrett's world imploded. Lost his job when employers Googled him. Lost his apartment when the landlord found out about the federal charges. Even his own family distanced themselves after hearing the full story. But rock bottom wasn't enough. He decided if he was going down, Nina was coming with him. Created a website, The Truth About Nina. Posted edited videos, fabricated text messages, claimed she was the real stalker, said she'd seduced and destroyed him. One problem: he used photos of Nina without permission, including some he'd taken through her windows. Copyright infringement, invasion of privacy, violation of the restraining order, more charges. But the real justice came from an unexpected source: Becca, his ex, who he dumped to win back Nina. Turns out Becca was an IRS auditor. Yes, she couldn't officially investigate him, but she could flag his case for review. And boy, did it get reviewed. 7 years of tax fraud, claiming personal expenses as business, fake charitable donations, unreported income from his side business, selling How to Win Your Ex Back courses online. I kid you not. The number they came up with: $186,000 in back taxes, penalties, and interest. His soulmate scammer reputation meant no one would hire him. The IRS was garnishing whatever wages he could get. The federal charges were pending. Multiple restraining orders meant he couldn't go most places in town. Last week was the final court date for the cybercrimes charges. Nina asked me to come for support. Garrett looked rough, suit, too big hair, unwashed, representing himself because no lawyer would take his case pro bono. His defense: I was in love. The prosecutor's response: 70 slides of evidence, security footage, digital trails, witness testimony from 5 women. Guilty on all counts. 18 months federal prison, 3 years probation, lifetime ban on contacting any of the victims. As they led him away, he yelled, "Nina, tell them the truth. Tell them about our love." Nina calmly: "The truth is you need help, Garrett, and now you'll have 18 months to get it." Final update. Moving forward. It's been 3 months since Garrett went to federal prison. Life is remarkably normal now. Nina and I are doing great. The experience actually brought us closer. Nothing says relationship strength like surviving a stalker ex together. She's in therapy working through the gaslighting trauma. Turns out thinking you're going crazy because someone's secretly moving your stuff really messes with your head. The other women Garrett stalked formed a support group. They meet monthly, call themselves Survivors of Soulmates. Dark humor helps. The best part: Nina's become an advocate for stalking victims, shares her story to help others recognize the signs. Her TikTok about red flags that seem romantic has 2 million views. Got a letter from Garrett last week, forwarded it to the authorities unopened. Part of his sentence was no contact even from prison. But his mom reached out to apologize. "I always knew something was off," she said. "The way he talked about girlfriends like possessions. I should have done more. At least someone in his family gets it." The IRS is still pursuing the tax case. Turns out 18 months in prison doesn't pause interest accumulation. He'll come out owing close to $200,000. Sometimes Nina and I joke about that coffee shop moment. How confident he was that I'd just disappear. How sure he was that she was waiting for him. "Thanks for stepping aside," she'll say. Anytime I reply, "Best step I ever took." Because here's the thing about entitled people like Garrett. They're so focused on their own narrative they can't see reality. He was so busy creating signs and signals that he missed the actual sign. 5 restraining orders and federal charges. Nina didn't need me to protect her. She had cameras, lawyers, evidence, and a spine of steel. All I did was literally what he asked. Stepped aside and let her handle it. The yellow dress, by the way. We found it in a storage unit he'd rented, along with dozens of other items he'd stolen from his victims over the years. Trophies, the detective called them. Nina burned it. Made s'mores over the fire. Said it was the best closure ritual ever. Garrett thought he was the main character in some grand romance. Turns out he was just a criminal who's really bad at taxes. And that's how you properly step aside.